Hello there, and welcome to episode 12 of the Kolonization project. In today's episode, we begin launching a mission that will complete a contract that we have accepted. And the contract is essentially to test a rocket engine in orbit around the Moon. It is not a very hard contract, but it paid like 200,000 funds, so I accepted it. This is launching on a Tecto Block 2. I completely redesigned the Tecto launch vehicle, which we have launched quite a few times. But our technology has surpassed that of the rocket engines, which we currently built that in. Anyways, that made no sense at all, but as you can see, I messed up the staging here. So we unfortunately do not have enough we detached the payload too early, and we do not have enough fuel to get to the Moon. So this mission is a failure. I'm not entirely sure what happened to the first stage. It is recoverable. I'm not sure what happened to it. Oh, I accidentally just clicked out of the FMRS. Oh, it might have been because I forgot to put a probe core on it. Anyways, but we want to keep space junk to a minimum, so we're just deorbiting the probe into the ocean, quite close to the Kerbal Space Center, actually. But I mean, it deorbited over the KSC, but it didn't actually land anywhere near. I was trying to recover it all, but that didn't happen. We end up splashing into the ocean at quite a significant velocity. Once again, that made no sense at all. But some of it survived, so we could recover that for a bit of funds. Right now, we are not launching a rocket. Rather, we are launching a plane. I don't think I've launched enough planes in this series. Like, we have a bunch of plane parts. Why not use them? So that's what we're doing right now. We are launching a passenger plane, which will carry a couple of passengers to the island airfield and back. Yeah, they need to come back, even though they're still beyond Kerbin. Right now, we're just performing a few, I guess, stunts over the Kerbal Space Center. The tourists, I'm saying tourists, the passengers are probably getting really sick by these maneuvers. Like literally sick, because of we're doing barrel rolls everywhere. So maybe not the best passenger experience, but it looks neat, I guess. I'm actually quite proud of because of how this plane turned out. I'm not used to the Airplane Plus parts. I'm not sure how they fit together, but I guess I figured it out, and I ended up with this quite cool looking design. I do say so myself. Anyways, now that we have quite a long ways to go to the island airfield. I mean, it's not that far, but you don't want to watch a 12-minute long trip across the ocean. That would take it would take 12 minutes, and the videos are normally 20 minutes, so that would take well over half the length of the video, and we don't want that because we have a lot of stuff to be doing in this episode, because we are actually going to Duna we've already went to Duna. We are arriving at Duna, if the title and thumbnail didn't give it away. So yeah, I think after this, we are returning to the Duna 1 and Duna 2 probes, and yeah, getting them to orbit around Duna and Ike. Anyways, we are now coming in for our final approach. Not our final approach, our landing approach. Final approach is not here, but it is at the Kerbal Space Center. Anyways, we have now landed, can deploy the brakes. I'm actually not sure why I added air brakes there. It might be because I wanted the brakes. I'm not sure. Anyways, we have landed. We can wait for the contract to complete and can take off into the air again. Once again, rather standard takeoff. You just get into the air and then let the wings glide. I mean, the engines are doing most of the work. The wings are just keeping it in the air. Once again, sped up to I think 4 times speed because you don't want to watch a 12-minute journey across the ocean. Well, not across the ocean, above the ocean, because if this was going across the ocean, then it would be considered a boat, and this is not a boat, it is a plane. And it also does not have seaplane capabilities, so... anyways, now that is done, we can head in for our landing at the Kerbal Space Center and land, I guess. You know, you will see that the left engine bay, that's probably not even the left engine. It really, that engine right there was like moving up and down. Not sure why, but AutoStrat seems to fix that, so we don't have that problem. And now we can just taxi the plane over to the space plane hangar because I don't know why I did this. It has absolutely no purpose, but I thought it was kind of cool. And we can move on to the next mission, which is not the Duna probes, rather it is a Polaris launch vehicle. I'm slowing it down to 1 time speed here for the launch because the thrust to weight ratio on this rocket is it is quite high because we do have those 2 solid rocket boosters on the side. So I just slowed it down to 1 time speed for the first portion of the ascent, but now it's sped up to back to 4 times regular speed. This rocket contains a satellite that will orbit the Mun. So we have a bunch of contracts to build bases, and the first contract that you need to do in order to initiate the contracts that actually have you build the bases are those that are just ScanSat contracts, which you need to scan the Mun for like the planet you want to build a base on for like high altimetry or something, high res altimetry, and that is what we are launching here. Once again, the Polaris is a reusable launch vehicle, so we can reuse the first stage. I haven't been recovering second stages recently. I think it's just a bit too much effort just to like, I say too much effort, it probably takes like 5 minutes to recover the stage, but I mean, like, they don't cost that much, and sometimes it's just not worth it to reuse them. Anyways, we actually landed in the peninsula yeah, we landed in the peninsula, which is quite far away. I honestly don't know why I just went on that. Anyways, now that we have landed the first stage, we can return to the main mission and continue the mission of launching a satellite to the Mun. There isn't much to talk about here. So honestly, I don't know. I always run out of things to talk about. Now that our transmitter injection is done, we can head out to the Mun and yeah, capture the rocket and start scanning the surface. Once again, we want to keep space junk to a minimum, so I put the second stage into a elliptic orbit, and we can now deorbit it. And now we can recircularize the main probe, and yeah, we can start scanning the surface. Also, I probably shouldn't talk about that now because the next mission is coming very shortly. I mean, shortly in a couple of seconds, which is the Duna 2 probe. For some reason, Duna 2 is arriving before Duna 1. I'm not sure why. I'm sure why. It's the orbit. It's the different characteristics of the orbits. But Duna 2 is arriving before Duna 1. Now there was a rocket launch in between Duna 2 and Duna 1, the rival. But I'm not sure where it went. We have a case of a missing rocket. So I launched a mission to resupply the Munar Gateway with material kits, which is a resource that allows us to inflate, like the habitation modules. And I went to it. I went to the Duna 1 probe, which had its Duna circularization burn, and then the rocket disappeared. It's probably because, it probably crashed into the surface because of the Mun's gravity, but I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, we are now performing our Duna circularization, and we can actually get quite a bit of science from this because we have almost all of the science we can get. Science units that we can get. We have magnetometers, mystery gears, atmospheric pressure scans, and temperature scans, which does give us quite a large amount of science. Now, well, you can see me extending and retracting the magnetometer boom because the old probes, before I accidentally deleted the old install, had more than enough electric charge because I was using different batteries. This one, I couldn't find the old batteries, so I was just like, let's just use tweak scaled the stock batteries. That didn't work. We didn't have enough electric charge to transmit the magnetometer report. So I just set the thing to allow partial. I'm going to pause this for a second. With that done, we can unlock hydroponics. I think we unlock that. Which gives us, hydroponic bays and also actuators, which gives us, I think, the closed docking port. And also efficient flight systems, which gives us efficient flight systems. I've said way too many times. Anyways, the Duna probe, I just said it again. The Duna probe, the Duna 1 probe actually is now arriving at Duna. We are going to put this one into a orbit around Ike, which we actually will be landing the Duna 1 and Duna 2 probes in probably the next episode. So we're going to be landing them on Duna and Ike. This wasn't their original purpose, but apparently I've engineered them so that they have the right amount of delta V to land on Duna and Ike. Which is... It was a surprise, to be sure. because these are not supposed to these are just orbiting probes. They're not supposed to land on anything, but I just looked at the Delta V readings and I was like, hey, we have enough Delta V to land on Duna at night, so why don't we go for it? After all, it's just more science and more money, because contracts and science. Anyways, we have now entered the sphere of influence of Ike. We can now transmit science back. You can see it's always saying warning, not enough electric charge. I just set the antenna to allow partial, just because we didn't have enough electric charge to transmit the magnetometer report. But I want all the science we can get, so yeah. Now we can circularize at Ike, and we are also in space high above Ike. We want to get in space low, so we just lower our orbit a bit, and can now transmit science from space low above Ike, so we can get the maximum amount of science possible, because like we gotta get warp technology. I have a rule for late game that I'm not allowed to use warp technology until like very, very late game, when we have like colonies on every planet, and we need just warp drive. But before that, we'll be using fusion rockets, like nothing but fusion rockets. But that's a long way away. That's probably like well over like 100 episodes away. Probably not 100 episodes away, maybe like 50 or so. Which is a lot of episodes, don't get me wrong. But we will eventually get to that point. Anyways, what we are launching here is a contract vessel towards the Munar station. So we have contracts that so tourists want to visit the Munar Gateway. I guess they want to see the Mun, and they want to visit the gateway. So we're just launching it on an expendable rocket, because if you remember, I probably temporarily retired the Sarnis booster. It probably won't be gone forever. It's just temporary. So I just put an SRB on the bottom, put it on an upper stage, and called it a day, essentially, because we didn't have it. The new launch vehicle that I talked about in the last episode, the Jewel launch vehicle, is still highly under development and is way overpowered. It has a bit too much power to get to Duna, not Duna. The carrier vessel is small to the Mun, and so we don't have anything, so I just slapped the SRB on there, and I was just like, hey, this works. So, however, speaking of launch vehicles, I just finished recording the Eve Armada, and it had arrived, and we got a lot of science from it. So, and what I unlocked was starship parts. So we might be using starships in the future, but once again, that probably won't be for a while, because I have quite a bit of footage to get through. But expect starships and space shuttles in future episodes. I actually have quite a few plans for Starship, because it is fully reusable, so we are going to be able to quickly and efficiently recover and reuse it, which will be quite important, because if we want to assemble an interplanetary spacecraft in a short amount of time, we can do it with a Starship, because once again, it is fully reusable. So, and also space shuttles, they aren't as good as the Starship, because they're not fully recoverable unless you like try to recover everything. But space shuttles are cool, so I'm going to use them. It's just like, we have no reason to use the space shuttle except that it's cool. Also, I want to launch telescopes. Like, we do have telescopes. I want to launch them using the space shuttle. So, because obviously the space shuttle launched the Hubble Space Telescope, so I think it would be sort of nice to launch our space telescopes with a space shuttle. But once again, that's probably like 2, 3, 4 episodes out. Probably just like 2 or 3, to be honest. Anyways, I managed to talk through the entire rendezvous burn, but our general rendezvous. But this is just like a standard rendezvous in docking, so there isn't much to talk about because we have done this how many times so far? I mean, we've launched the core, we've launched the life support, we've launched the crew, we've launched the lander, we've launched the resupply, we've launched the solar panel module. So that's like 6 times we've done this already. Wait, 5 times, because we did do this for the core. Anyways, we're now coming in for our docking. I am using the new docking ports that we added with the resupply we sent. I think that was last episode that we did that. Yeah, that was last episode. Because we don't have any more docking ports except the ones that are on the life support, but I want to actually use those for modules and not for crew unless we have to. Also, I think having them this way looks a bit cooler. But anyways, that'll bring us to the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.